And now, from the Star of David-shaped spaceship in History of the World Part 2, it's the IGN Digigods. Right? Please welcome two skin jobs, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Hey, Bob, who was clever enough to make a skin job reference?
Andrew Wilson, why?
I don't know.
Are you going to sue him?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Phil K. Dick will sue him. Speaking of that, we saw a movie tonight, didn't we, based on a Phil K. Dick short story, Mark?
We saw The Adjustment Bureau.
Yeah, we did. Based on The Adjustment Team, right? That was the Dick short story that it was based on.
Is that right?
Yeah, The Adjustment Team.
I didn't. Well, bureau sounds much more sinister and bureaucratic.
Yes, it does.
I'm a little lukewarm on this.
I am too. A little.
It feels a little. It's the storytelling not that clean. Don't quite understand what the bureau actually does because it makes it up as it goes along based on what the narrative needs.
I admire that it was. Well, we'll get into it on Stupid for Movies. I admire that it was. It aspired to be intelligent. I'll give it props for that. So, boy, we got a lot to go chat about on Thursday on Stupid for Movies. So definitely join us this Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, stupidformovies.com or streaminggarage.com. That's 1G, Streaming Garage.
Because you want to know what by the way, I went to go see Rango.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you this, but when we left this, now you didn't see Rango.
No, I didn't see Rango.
Now, when you left the theater for Rango,
yes.
They gave you a book.
Wow.
A book about the making of the art for Rango.
Oh, you mean it actually had to do with Rango? I thought it was going to be like a, Old Man of the Sea or something.
No, the autobiography of Robert Vaughn. No.
Something, yeah. Okay.
They gave you a book, The Art of Rango, and I'm not giving it away, folks. I want that book.
There you go. Well, that's great. We'll be talking about Rango, and we'll be talking about the Adjustment Bureau on Stupid for Movies. We'll also be covering some news items, as I'm sure everyone is dying to know what we think about the Oscars and Charlie Sheen and the Oscars and Charlie Sheen. And what else is there this week?
That Charlie Sheen will never win an Oscar?
Libya? Is there any reason to talk about Libya? I mean, Muammar Gaddafi's son is a producer. He's here. He's trying to raise money for movies.
I love Muammar Gaddafi.
Not raising money. He was going to use the family's fortune, but I think that's all over now, huh? Can you imagine if you were a producer and you had Gaddafi money in your movie and you were ready to roll and then suddenly the assets are frozen and they can your movie?
You know what?
That would blow.
There's a million reasons for a movie to get derailed anywhere during the process, and that one would be a first. By the way, let me just say,
I don't know who's crazier at this point, Charlie or Gaddafi. I've been watching the interviews with them both, and it's sad in both cases. It's incredibly sad. But Charlie's not killing anybody except himself.
That is true. By the way, can I just say?
Yeah.
March 29th, Wade.
Yes. What is March 29th?
Black Swan Blu-ray.
I know.
Now, I love Black Swan.
That would be Black on Blue.
One of my favorite. I don't get it. One of my favorite films of the year, if not my number one film of the year, Black Swan. 1080p video, DTS HD 5.1 soundtrack. Not a whole lot in terms of. Well, actually, the Blu-ray has more extras than the regular DVD. And it's going to be good stuff. Now, also, we have MGM in April is going to be they'll be releasing 5 catalog titles: Mystic Pizza, Benny and June, Lars and the Real Girl, The Lovely, and Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of those movies are actually very good.
Much Ado About Nothing.
That's true.
Love that movie.
Also, by the way, folks, if you go to Amazon.com. On Blu-ray, they have An Affair to Remember and All About Eve for $19.49 each.
Ooh.
All About Eve Blu-ray,
pretty
$19.49 each. So we recommend you pick that up.
That's a movie from 1950 for 1949. You like that? There's a little. Okay.
I do not.
I want to knock out a couple of listener mail at the top of the show here. Yassine, who of course is the godfather of the Facebook page, Yassine writes us and says, Wade, I hate correcting you on stuff you don't care about, and this is reference to my WWE, WWF thing last week. He said it's called WWE nowadays. In 2001, the old WWF was sued by the World Wildlife Fund for the rights of the name. They changed it to WWE. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that. I must have been just completely spaced out. But how about that? World Wildlife Fund screwed up a good thing with wrestling.
Stupid animals.
really, honestly, who needs them? And then Eric Altieri, another longtime listener, said, Mark and Wade, I watched Waking Sleeping Beauty recently and started looking into Disney movies I don't have yet. After doing some research, I learned that movies like Aladdin, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast have either been edited, recut, or improved upon. These are not the original theatrical versions we saw in the theater. And he talks about how incredibly frustrating it is, and I agree, it is frustrating, and I don't know that we're ever going to get that changed because those original versions for a lot of these movies will never come out because there's no monetary reason for them to do so unless fans make a real stink, and I don't see that happening. But he also said, picked up the Psycho Blu-ray and popped it in and saw that the video was full-frame 16:9. And he was thinking they had recut the film to fit his TV. And before jumping to conclusions, I hit the internet and came across Blu-ray.com. That's blue-ray.com. And they have screen caps of all the Blu-rays that they review so you can see the aspect ratio. And it turns out the aspect ratio of the film is very similar to 16:9. So he said his worries about Psycho being tampered with were gone, but what about other movies? Here's the thing. 16:9 actually equates to a 1.78. It's like 1.77, but it's really 1.78 aspect ratio. Most movies are 1.85 unless they're really widescreen. And that means that pretty much if something fits your TV, it has been cropped. But it is so minute that the difference between 1.78 and 1.85 is you're just not going to notice it. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Now, you're talking about Disney Blu-rays. I happen to be surfing around the net, the web, the interwebs.
Yes.
And the good folks over at High Def Digest had an interesting article about the top 10 animated Disney films not on Blu-ray.
And those would be?
Cinderella, The Rescuers, Hercules. Forget that one.
Ooh, Hercules. That's right. That's not out.
Dud. Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Peter Pan. Aladdin.
And The Song of the South.
The Sword and the Stone.
And The Song of the South.
The Little Mermaid, not on Blu-ray.
True. But that's being prepped.
And Robin Hood. Really? So that's being...
Yeah, Little Mermaid's being prepped. That's going to be a big deal probably later this year.
And that's a list from the good folks at High Def Digest.
Very cool.
.com.
And then the very last of our mails today is from Denny Bryant. Denny Elizabeth Bryant. That would be a female listener. Thank you, Denny.
Whoa. We have a female listener?
I know. It's like such a male-centric show. So this is incredibly welcome. Denny says, hey guys, do you think it would be a selling point for Blu-ray if more people knew that their movies on PAL DVDs were running at the wrong speed and pitch? As I'm sure you know, almost all films that were shot at 24 frames a second then when transferred to PAL are simply sped up to run at 25 frames a second. This makes all the films 4% faster, so that a 100-minute film is over in 96 minutes, but it also raises the pitch of the speech and music by almost a full semitone. Since Blu-rays, regardless of region, run films at the correct frame rate, the format is typically the only way that people in New Zealand, Australia, UK, and EU can actually see a film as it was intended. And it also helps that most Blu-rays are region-free. I don't know that most Blu-rays are region-free. I know that players can play them across regions, and Blu-ray regions, of course, are a little different than DVD regions. But then she says, on a completely separate note, have you heard anything about a Blu-ray of the 1990 Tom Savini version of Night of the Living Dead? And on that latter point, absolutely nothing. I don't know that that's going to come out anytime soon. I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see how a lot of these horror films do on Blu-ray. There's kind of a mini bubble of fans who love horror on Blu-ray that's kind of, they want to wait and see if that really lasts. But otherwise, I don't know. What do you think? Blu-ray, if people realize that the PAL NTSC issue kind of goes away with Blu-ray?
I think that is so inside baseball for most people.
It is, huh?
Don't you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I know a lot of people have complained about what they think are incorrect running times, and they go, is it cut? It's not the right running time. And it always turns out to be a PAL conversion issue. And that's really screwed a lot of people up. So I know a lot of people may not know why, but they know that something's wrong. They know something's not right.
You know what's not right? The fact that we're 10 minutes into the show, we haven't talked about DVDs yet.
We're going to do it.
I made you feel guilty.
Yes, you did. So British television, Mark, I got to go through it. They've been piling up. I got to roll through it.
I'm going to sit here and surf the web for the next 5 minutes while you do that. Let's see what's happening in the news.
Okay, we got Wish Me Luck, Series 2. Wish Me Luck is a very, very good British series that has been out for a while. This is from the late 80s. And it's set during World War II, and it's about women secret agents. This is a very, very cool show, very well done. From an era when you didn't have a lot of great British drama that kind of crossed over here, but this is one that really deserves your looks. Definitely check it out. The Agatha Christie Hour was shown on Mystery here, and in this one, the Agatha Christie Hour, we get 5 really cool mysteries. Magnolia Blossom, The Mystery of the Blue Jar, The Red Signal, Jane in Search of a Job, and The Manhood of Edward Robinson. That is not Edward G. Robinson, that's just Edward Robinson. Really fun stuff. This is these are kind of none of these are famous Agatha Christie stories because you don't really get Poirot or Miss Marple or any of the usual there. But they're really good. They're very well written, and if you love the Agatha Christie style, you'll really groove to it. This is awesome. I just can't believe how cool this is. This is set 1 of Man in a Suitcase, a rogue agent for hire in 1960s Europe. This is also from Acorn. And if you have never seen this, you are so unbelievably missing out. This is this is from 1967, and Richard Bradford stars as Mac McGill, who is one of those kind of rogue spies. And it's got a very kind of cool James Bondy feel to it. And the funny thing about this is this is kind of from the era when everybody thought that all the great British spy stuff was, the Avengers and the Avengers and the Avengers and.
Well, no, there's another one.
Well,
the Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers, and of course you also have Roger Moore doing the Saint and
the Avengers too,
and the Avengers and Secret Agent Man and the Avengers. But no, this is actually this is pretty good. 15 episodes, 4 discs. And I'd almost say it's a little bit more like The Prisoner, which is probably I think one of the greatest TV series, British or American, ever created. But it feels a little bit like that. It's grittier than all the others, though, and definitely worth a look. And then Discovering Hamlet. You know what? This is great. This was originally shown on PBS. It's part of Acorn's Athena line. And this is with Derek Jacobi and Kenneth Branagh. And it's really interesting. I am a huge fan of Hamlet. I think Hamlet is one of the great stage studies of all time. And Kenneth Branagh, basically kind of his career first took off when he played Hamlet on stage in 1988. And from then on, it was great. And what this is kind of behind the scenes of staging Hamlet. 4 weeks of rehearsals, and you learn more about Hamlet in many ways than you would of actually watching the play. Great interview on here with Derek Jacobi that's about a half an hour long. A lot of other great behind-the-scenes stuff and interviews, and a 12-page viewer's guide, as you always get with Athena things. Very great if you're a teacher and you're teaching drama or even literature. You definitely want to check this out. It'll teach your students so much more about Hamlet than you ever possibly could just by forcing them to read the text, which is impenetrable in many ways. Did you ever have to read Hamlet in school?
Sure, it was. It
was impenetrable.
I was a kid, whatever. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against the sea of trouble, by opposing, end them, to die, perchance to sleep.
Yeah, see? Why?
Yeah, I can keep going.
Okay, very good. Lovely.
Thank you.
If you like period stuff, you're going to want to check out Garrow's Law, Series 1. Garrow's Law has been wanted by fans for a long time. It is this takes place in 18th century England. It's basically a legal drama. And but leave it to the English to say, why do something in the present day? Why do a Law and Order type show? Why do a lawyer show if they can't wear powdered wigs and tights?
What's the point?
This is actually based in fact, and they go to a lot of the court records from the Old Bailey, and so what you find is sort of a history of the legal system in the UK. And it's really, really good. Rupert Graves is in this and has never been better. I mean, Rupert Graves kind of, I think, is a better actor than a lot of people have given him credit for, but when he was younger, he got a lot of those kind of pretty face roles. Now he's a little older, a little gruffer, and he adapts to this just absolutely beautifully. Blow through here a little faster. Single-Handed, set 1. This takes place in Ireland, and it's not brilliant. I'll be honest. I know a lot of people like this, so I'm going to tell you that it's out there. 3 different mysteries, and they're all. It's sort of. It feels very derivative of better stuff that I've seen done. But the mystery thing always plays well in the UK. So if you haven't gotten your mystery fix on, then go ahead. Blue Murder has been out for a number of years in various, all the different series of it. But you get all 4 sets in one complete series, one complete box set now. This is Blue Murder, the complete collection. And, this is a female cop show. And it's really good. But it's been out before. So that's just letting you know. Now we're getting into some Doctor Who. If you are a fan of the John Pertwee years, who, of course, is the father of Sean Pertwee, who is a British actor right now, the early 70s were when John Pertwee was one of the last old dudes to play Doctor Who. After that, they went with Tom Baker, and they turned Doctor Who into kind of a young stud that he is today. But from the John Pertwee years, you have the adventure The Mutants, which is kind of creepy, I got to be honest. But some really good extras in here, including an audio commentary with Katie Manning and Garrick Hagan, along with some of the people who worked on the show. And but it's creepy. Pertwee is a great actor, but it's creepy stuff. Then from the Paul McGann years, you have the Movie Special Edition. Now, Paul McGann, Mark, are you familiar? You're not. You don't give a damn about Doctor Who, do you?
There's a phone booth, and they go into the phone booth and become Doctor Who.
Well, this is in the late '90s. I must have missed something because I don't know who Paul McGann is. This is sort of the first time that I've been exposed to this, but he's not bad. It's still a little bit cheesy. Still doesn't quite feel, it doesn't feel like it's sort of hit its stride yet, but it's okay. And then for those who think Doctor Who has never been as cool as it is now, there is the Doctor Who on Blu-ray, a Christmas special. This is the 2010 Christmas special, aired here on BBC America. And you know what? I could have done without this. Somehow Doctor Who and Christmas don't really go together, but I know a lot of people love Matt Smith as the Doctor, and he's not bad. Michael Gambon shows up in this, who's always good for a hoot, since he took over for Richard Harris playing the, whatchamacallit, Wizard and Harry Potter movies. Barfledorp.
I saw.
Isn't that it?
I was actually with our old friend Ian.
Yeah.
I was in London for the original Harry Potter premiere party, and Richard Harris was there.
Wow.
In fact, I took a picture.
And he died.
That's what killed him.
Yeah.
The fact that I took a picture of him at the party.
If you have not seen MI5, you're missing out. MI5 is a really, really well-written espionage show. Volume 8 of MI5, 3 discs, seen here on BBC America. Absolutely terrific. You really want to check this out. This is a very well-written show, extremely well-directed, and very sharp acting. Some behind-the-scenes stuff here and some audio commentaries. Then we got Top Gear. I'm going here as quickly as I can. Top Gear 14 and 15. Maybe the best British series ever because it's just so damn fun. It really is. This has also been seen on BBC America and on BBC Canada. And there's so much fun here, you just won't even know what to do. If you forget about political correctness, because these are all about gas-guzzling, high-speed, highfalutin cars, and they just have a lot of fun. There's some really great stuff on here. The electric wind tunnel is pretty terrific. Celebs in a reasonably priced car is hysterical. Yeah, check it out. It's Top Gear 14 and 15, both on Blu-ray. High-quality stuff. High-quality stuff. You'll never see cars the same way again. And hold on here. Let's see. Midsummer Murders, set 17. You know what? We've talked about this show endlessly. I'm just amazed at how long this show has continued to run. This is amazing. 4 mysteries on here. And you know what? It's like they're right. It's like Law and Order set in the rural countryside. So give that a look. Pie in the Sky is worth watching. Series 4 just because Richard Griffiths is so amazing. Never mind the fact that it's a cop show and that he plays a detective. Forget it. It had nothing to do with it. Richard Griffiths is not going to be with us much longer because the guy is so unbelievably overweight. I saw him on stage. I think I've mentioned that on the show before.
He took up the entire stage, you told me.
Oh, my gosh. I was afraid his hips were going to give out up there.
He was so good in the History Boys.
He's great, but he's enormous. I mean, he's huge.
He's Charles Durning huge.
He is. He's round. He's Charles Durning huge.
Is he a round mound of rebound?
He really is. You expect to see some kind of a small planetoid orbiting him at any given moment. As long as we're on cop stuff, gritty cop stuff, we've got James Nesbitt, always great in Series 3 of Murphy's Law, which is just terrific. It amazes me how well written all these shows are. This is from 2005. And I wish American shows were this gritty and this well put together. Michael Fassbender is one of the guest stars in this, and that's interesting because I just saw him the other day in the new Jane Eyre. He plays Rochester.
Was that movie any good?
You know what it is? I mean, I'm always up for a good Jane Eyre. The thing is, Fassbender may be the best Rochester since Orson Welles, but there's still a huge gap between Orson Welles and every other guy who's ever played Rochester that you just go, why does anyone even bother? Like, unless you can find someone who has the presence of Orson Welles, just don't try. But Fassbender is good. He's a real chameleon. That guy.
He's great, and he's really gonna test his acting ability in the new X-Men film.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
And then New Trick season 3. It's an okay crime series. It's kind of does, again, this is more of the same. Kind of does a lot of the same stuff that we've seen done on other shows, better shows. I would say Murphy's Law is a better show, but this is fine if you're into the stuff. And last couple here. I'll save the rest for another time because I know Mark is just dying over here.
Oh, I'm enjoying every bit of these.
Roy Clark's Last of the Summer Wine has been showing a lot on PBS lately. This is vintage 1987, the 1987 series. This is, of course, a rural comedy making fun of the people who live out in the middle of nowhere in the British countryside. And a little bit of a Green Acres vibe to it. It's wearing on me a bit at this point. This is not the best season of this series, but you do get an interesting extra here, which is the feature-length special Uncle of the Bride, which is kind of fun. And then lastly, set 1 of Fresh Fields. Fresh Fields was originally aired in 1984 on Thames Television. Thames, which most of us know primarily for having brought Benny Hill into our homes. But this is about a couple who have finally gotten their kids out of the house, and what are they going to do? And they get a good bit of comedy out of it. Not the greatest British comedy of all time, but it's decent and certainly brings back a kind of a nostalgic flavor from that day. So this is series 1 and 2 in set 1, and if you like it, if you're into British comedy from that period, you'll probably enjoy it. Julia McKenzie and Anton Rogers star. How's that, Mark? Did I go through it? I did it as quickly as I could.
You did a good job.
Man. Okay, so
but how about these
documentaries?
Yeah, look at these.
Go through the docs?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's do the docs.
Do the hustle.
Do the docs. 2 in the Wave is a documentary that I had the privilege of seeing at the Colcoa City of Light, City of Angels Festival this last year. It is the story of the friendship and the departure, the friendship and the... how would we put this? The tempestuous relationship between Godard and Truffaut. A lot of people don't realize Godard and Truffaut, of course, both came up in the French New Wave together. They were both writers for Cahiers du Cinéma, but came from completely different backgrounds. And it created friendship and friction over many years. Godard came from a privileged background. Truffaut was kind of a kid from the streets. And Godard eventually became just a stark, raving, crazy, far-left lunatic. And Truffaut kind of went a little bit commercial, and at a certain point that killed their friendship. Godard just felt Truffaut was selling out to commerciality and corporatism, and Truffaut thought that Godard was completely off his nut and just trying to grandstand. And all of that stuff is documented in letters and all kinds of stuff. It's a really, really good documentary because it gives you a little bit of the history of the New Wave as well as insights into these 2 incredible filmmakers. Very, very well done. And it does it relatively quickly, 92 minutes long, so I can't recommend it enough. You'll obviously pick your favorite. You'll say either I love Godard and hate Truffaut, or I love Truffaut and hate Godard. But it's great, and a little bit of French film history in there too. It's a good movie.
Wade, a good time at the movies with Dachau, Histories of the Holocaust, from the good folks at Arts Magic DVD.
They've been doing these history of the Holocaust things for a while.
Well, they're all very good. There's a lot of great historical black and white footage here. There's two: Dachau, Liberation and Retribution, and Dachau, State Within a State. People don't remember that. In the 20s and 30s, Dachau, was a region. It was a place where it was a place of culture and religion.
Yeah.
And then it wound up housing the first concentration camp, electrified fences and SS guards, and obviously I don't have to tell you about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
So in a world filled with Holocaust DVDs, this one is not bad because it's quite comprehensive, and there's two of them. So you get a lot. You get a lot for your money.
Wow.
I would very highly recommend from the good folks at Oscilloscope. Now, why did I know, just from looking at this DVD, A Man Within, William S. Burroughs, why did I know it was Oscilloscope?
Because they use the eco packaging.
Yes, they do.
It's absolutely distinctive.
William S. Burroughs was one of the great Beat Generation writers. He was also a bit of a nut job. And
all those Beat Generation writers were nut jobs.
Yeah,
That's what made them charming.
Yeah, but Burroughs was... Burroughs and Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah,
those were the two who just seemed the most out there, suicidal, crazy, the whole nine yards.
Yeah,
actually, I think Hunter S. Thompson probably the ultimate.
Yeah, for sure.
Hunter S. Thompson is now dead, and so is William S. Burroughs. Anyway, this is a terrific documentary on Burroughs. There's a bunch of special features on it, including some deleted scenes, a bunch of Burroughs art. There's a 50th anniversary celebration of Naked Lunch, which might be his most famous creation. And it's good stuff on William S. Burroughs. Just he was weird. He was just a weird guy.
It's a good doc.
It is a good doc.
It's a good doc.
There's a lot of never-before-seen footage of Burroughs here that you guys will like. There's also interviews with John Waters and Patti Smith and Iggy Pop and Gus Van Sant, all illuminating the life of William S. Burroughs.
These Bill Moyers sets are really, really incredibly good. And I know a lot of people really don't like Bill Moyers. He gets slammed a lot by some people on the right for being too liberal. Gets kind of ridiculed by a lot of people on the left for being kind of too convoluted. But I'll tell you, you know what? The guy he's been at it for 40 years, and he's earned respect. And these sets they're very interesting. These are always released by Athena, which is the educational arm of Acorn. And what Moyers does so well is he'll grab a subject, and unlike all the people who have their own TV shows, he doesn't say, okay, today we're going to talk about the Constitution for the next 60 minutes, not including breaks. You can't really do it. So he picks a subject and he puts his arms around it and tackles it as best as he can. And I'll tell you, In Search of the Constitution, Bill Moyers' In Search of the Constitution is really comprehensive. It's 11 parts. It is 10 hours long, more than 10 hours, almost 10 and a half hours long. And it goes into everything. And it basically leaves it to the viewer to draw their own conclusions. But it's fascinating. Gets into every aspect of the Constitution, what it is, how it was created. It talks to scholars. He talks to people on the left, people on the right. I mean, Supreme Court justices. It is, and it doesn't attempt to actually preach to you. It says this is a unique and amazing document. It has inspired and influenced people the world over and other countries. But it continues to be a point of contention and confusion for some people. Make up your own minds, but here's the information, and boy, is it comprehensive.
Wait, I need to be preached to. Here's what I like in my radio, news watching, and DVDs.
Yes.
I like to have my political views confirmed. I do not want anything that will make me question my views. And I must only hear things that make the other side seem like un-American idiots.
That's why you like Hannity.com, isn't it?
Yes. I was on. I haven't been on that site for a while, but I would log on to Hannity.com and leave messages until I got thrown off. And then after I got thrown off, I would rejoin.
That's hysterical. Another great Bill Moyers set here is Bill Moyers, A World of Ideas Writers. And this, of course, is not political. This gets into culture, but it's just as comprehensive, just as interesting. And really, if you're a writer or if you love reading great works of literature, you'll love this because it it attempts to sort of, like everything that Moyers does, it attempts to somehow encapsulate the issue of what inspires writers and what makes them write and what they write about, and somehow find meaning in it across all strata of society, all cultures, all periods of time. It's really interesting. He talks to a number of Nobel Prize winners. He talks to a number of other great writers. You get Isaac Asimov in here. Tom Wolfe shows up in here. I mean, this is really extraordinary, and this is not quite as long as the Constitution thing. This is about 5 some odd hours long, but still, that's huge, and you got to check it out. Definitely check it out. If you love reading and if you love knowing what drives a writer, you're going to want to definitely dive into that. See What I'm Saying is the Deaf Entertainers documentary. Now, I am loath to actually overly criticize this because it'll make me sound like some kind of a horrible, wretched human being. But I didn't totally love this. Deaf artists, God bless them. I admire the hell out of them for doing what they do, but I don't know that this necessarily justifies an entire documentary. If you're interested in how handicapped artists actually make do and how their lives differ from yours, I would say then you'll probably be enthralled by this. But I just didn't find enough unique and special in this to really justify a documentary all unto itself. Maybe a documentary short would have sufficed, but a feature-length documentary seems a little bit overkill. Maybe at 45 minutes, but 90, no.
You just
Next.
hate deaf people.
I do, actually. They can never hear me.
PBS has a great series called Pioneers of Television. I wish they would box. I wish
they've been doing a lot of these. They should box more of them, yeah.
Because right now we have 4 individual ones. Pioneers of Television, Local Kids TV, Westerns, Science Fiction, and Crime Dramas. Now, Westerns I am least interested in. They talk a lot about Daniel Boone and Fess Parker and Davy Crockett and Bonanza and whatnot. Science fiction, now you're getting into my nerd world, which is all about Star Trek and Twilight Zone. That's good stuff there. Also, I mean, these are only 60 minutes, but they get a lot of new interviews and great vintage footage. Crime dramas, you got your Mission Impossibles and your Rockford Files and your Columbos. This is just great stuff. Bill Cosby and I Spy, of course, is a big deal. African American, cop
that was
hero.
Pioneering when he wound up on that show.
Oh yeah,
that was
and
a
by
huge
the way,
deal.
And Robert Culp fought for him to be on that show.
Good for him.
Because at the time that was obviously very controversial.
We lost Robert Culp this last year.
I know, he was cool. I saw the film he directed, Hickey and Boggs. Interesting movie.
Oh yeah,
really interesting movie.
Really,
I saw it projected at the LA Film Festival. Very kind of surrealistic, dark, kind of angry little cop film. The one I like the best is Local Kids TV.
Oh, yeah.
Local Kids TV. This one has a lot of Jim Henson stuff, and the Jim Henson stuff is just awesome. Chuck McCann, Willard Scott, the old Today Show weatherman.
Yeah.
People don't remember that Willard Scott was a Bozo the Clown who worked out of Washington D.C.
That's right.
And you got some of that stuff there.
There were a lot of bozos.
There were a lot of bozos.
Yeah.
There
was one original bozo, and I met his ex-wife or one of his ex-wives once. Wow, what a piece of work she was. That was unbelievable.
Dreadful.
And what stories she had about their life together. I didn't need to know those stories. Okay, movies. We're going to go through some movies here real quickly. A couple of movies that you're not going to care much about, but we're going to mention them anyway just because. Tangi Miller and Malik Yoba in My Girlfriend's Back. Sometime.
Oh, yeah.
I got to say, there's something a little bit condescending. And again, I'm not black, so maybe I shouldn't be judging, but it seems something a little bit condescending about these kinds of knockoff, wannabe romantic comedies that they target just for the black community, which somehow, if you live in the inner city, you're supposed to go just because black people are in it. And I think the audience deserves better than that. Now, this is from Lionsgate. This was released theatrically, I think, for maybe a day or two this year. and then they just spat it out on a DVD really quickly. Maybe you saw it in your neck of the woods, maybe you didn't. But this is like 1,000 other movies. I can't say that there's anything special about it. And then Melissa Joan Hart continues to do unremarkable things with her career in Satin, which is, she's not even really the star of this thing. It's they're using her to promote it, but Hamilton von Watts, whom I've never heard of, is actually technically the star. He plays Jack Satin, who's kind of this, nobody Las Vegas entertainer, and this thing is kind of a wannabe allegory, mythical allegory, with Robert Guillaume showing up as this old kind of jazz man who now fixes cars, and Melissa Joan Hart is a bartender, and it's it's about outcasts, and it's about life, and it's about fate, and none of it really hangs together very well. They think they're making a more a wiser film than they really are, but it's not incompetently made. The guy who directed it, Chris Olnest, has a pretty decent eye. So if you like the actors, I'd say probably give it a shot, but don't expect a whole lot. Mark, did you see Burlesque?
No. Wait, I'm not gay.
Well, you know what?
You love that crap. You really do. That seems like a movie you would see and enjoy.
I thought I'd enjoy it. I thought I'd get a real Showgirls thing going, but it's not. It's way too tame. And I don't know why they even did this. It's almost like Showgirls works because they didn't try to be campy, but it wound up being campy inadvertently. Here they're just trying too hard, and then they tone everything down so they can get the PG-13 rating, and it's just silly. It is a beautiful Blu-ray, I'll say that. Christina Aguilera's voice is made for lossless audio. That's fantastic.
She got pulled over for drunk driving. Or
I know,
like
I heard, yeah. But otherwise, there's just nothing here. It's like Showgirls Light, and even Stanley Tucci seems to realize that he's just going through the motions. And who else shows up in this to guarantee that it's a complete and total catastrophe?
Charlie Sheen.
Kristen Bell.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who hires her?
Well, obviously, these people do. That's who does.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I know. It is what it is. The movie SWAT didn't do well, but it obviously did well to keep making SWAT movies. Direct to DVD and direct to Blu-ray, that is. We have the Blu-ray here of yet another SWAT film, but of course, Colin Farrell isn't in them anymore, with Gabrielle Mocht and Robert Patrick. SWAT Firefight. And it's silly, and it's stupid, and doesn't make any sense. It's strictly an excuse to do an awful lot of action staging. It doesn't really need to hang together. The thing that I like most about this is the name of the guy who directed it. I don't know who he is, but you know what his name is?
Charlie Sheen.
Benny Boom.
Benny Boom?
Benny Boom. I'd bet money that's not his real name, but he wants to be an action director, so he changed his name to Benny Boom. I think Benny Boom is a lot better than McG.
You know what? That guy's done like nothing.
I know.
You know why? Because no one takes him seriously because his name is freaking McG.
But, of course, Neil Moritz produced this, which means he's just still doing a lot of crap and more crap to follow because Neil Moritz, who I don't care for, I don't mind saying that. You know what else he's got coming out, Mark?
Charlie Sheen.
Battle L.A.
Benny, I'm seeing that on Tuesday.
Are you really?
I am. Well, you know why? A friend of ours,
next
Phil,
Tuesday.
A friend of ours, Phil, really wants to go. He put in an email to me like 2 weeks ago saying, when you get the invite for Battle LA, will you please RSVP and take me? So I got the RSVP and I said, all right.
Yeah, I guess I'm going too. I didn't even realize I'd gotten the invite, but it's in my calendar.
Benny Boom is a music video director and current director of Guerrilla Flicks.
Well, there it is.
He's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha.
All right, we're getting down to to some better movies here, Mark. We're getting down to things that are actually worth talking about. But first, I'm going to make mention of one more piece of junk straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray. Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster, out on Blu-ray and DVD and digital copy, all in one nice combo pack. These Scooby-Doo movies, much like the SWAT movies, they will not go away. Of course, this is not the original cast. I think this is like the third cast that they've thrown together for these Scooby-Doo movies. They're terrible. The original Scooby-Doo animated stuff is so much better. This is just horrible. The CGI is horrible. The cast's horrible. The writing is terrible. Look, this includes never-before-seen music sequences. Never before seen, never to be seen ever again.
Aww.
That's right. Mark?
Yes. Yes, Wade, may I help you?
The Cable Guy. How do we feel about The Cable Guy?
I liked it. I thought it was fine.
Why does everyone rip on this movie?
You know why? Because people didn't want to see Jim Carrey
go
dark. They weren't ready for that. They wanted to see him talking out of his butt. They weren't ready for him to go dark.
This is
because that's like creepy, uncomfortable dark.
This is, I love movies about unwanted visitors, followers, friends, obsessives who just won't go away. That's why I think What About Bob is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. What About Bob is brilliant. It is brilliant.
He's not going to leave. He never leaves.
It's great. Is this some kind of radical new therapy? But this takes the What About Bob concept and pushes it into very scary territory. And it is funny, but it is also way dark. Jim Carrey, of course, is the Cable Guy who wants to be best friends with Matthew Broderick, and he goes to the nth degree, and it just goes way over the top. It's interesting looking at this in hindsight, who's actually in this movie. I mean, Ben Stiller directed it and does a great job of directing it. But, Judd Apatow produced this. Did you know that?
You know what? I did not know that.
Judd Apatow produced it. Brad Gray, before he ran Paramount, was an executive producer on it. And on top of that, the cast includes Jack Black, George Segal, Leslie Mann, who, of course, is Judd Apatow's wife and is in everything he does.
Charlie Sheen?
Owen Wilson. You kind of go, wow, look at that. That's, you forget this movie really kind of had it all decked out. And I think if people were to watch this again today on Blu-ray, which is, let me be honest, it's not a great Blu-ray. Sony kind of phoned this one in. But it's got a great new commentary with Ben Stiller and Apatow and Jim Carrey. The usual other stuff, HBO First Look and behind-the-scenes stuff, extended scenes, gag reel, rehearsal footage, junk that's not that great, but the commentary is very good, the transfer is decent enough, and the movie is really, really, really good. Two things in this movie that I say make it great. Here's what I can't just you cannot forget once you've seen the Jefferson Airplane sequence, the party scene with the Jefferson Airplane music and Jim Carrey doing the dance. Oh my gosh. So scary, so freaky, so funny. It's a classic. It's maybe the best piece of film Ben Stiller has ever directed. And the other thing is the medieval times sequence. It's the whole Kirk and Spock from Amok Time bit.
Yes.
That Star Trek reference.
Funny.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
You do love this movie.
Oh, I love this movie. I can't get enough of it.
What the?
Yes. Well, go ahead, talk about that one first.
Oh, fine. Oh, Wade, what can we say about Dwayne Johnson?
He's the rockiest.
I don't like any of these wrestling guys. I think they're all. I just don't get it, like John Cena and whatever. But Dwayne Johnson is cool.
He's got it down.
He does. He's charming and he's funny. And you know what? He had a moment, and it's not happening for him anymore. He couldn't make it happen. Now he's doing stuff like Faster, where he plays a guy known just as Driver. That's all he does. Drives. And he spent 10 years in prison, and when he gets out, he wants to avenge the murder of his brother during a bank robbery. And, he teams up with he doesn't team up with, he's being followed by this cop played by Billy Bob Thornton. And, it's got a lot of chase scenes, and it's directed by George Tillman Jr., and, it's just a really bad police procedural, and it's got a couple of good chase scenes. Although, you know what, honestly, George Tillman Jr. directed, like, Soul Food and Beauty Shop, so he's not quite Mr. Action Guy.
This is the thing. I'm so disappointed that Tillman is doing this kind of stuff because I think Tillman has real talent as a filmmaker. Now, I've met Tillman. We have friends in common. I actually met him socially a couple of times. Really, really nice guy. Very, very talented. He's still working with his partner Robert Teitel, who I've also met. And these guys, I mean, they should be doing better movies than this. They really should. This is just such a throwaway. But please use your talents for good, would you? And then a diamond edition on Blu-ray and DVD. This is probably our pick of the week of Bambi from Disney. Go get it before it goes back in the vault because it will. It's only going to be out for a limited time. They've really loaded this up. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous Blu-ray transfer. This may be even more beautiful than the film ever looked in theatrical release. Your kids will love it. The whole family will go nuts, and you'll cry time and time again. It doesn't matter how much of a stone-cold bruiser you think you are. you will cry at Bambi. Somehow Bambi gets everybody just pouring tears. I don't know what it is. The big men, the strong guys, the muscle guys, they all cry at Bambi. The thing that's problematic for me is Bambi's a boy. How did Bambi become a girl's name in common vernacular? Like, why don't people name their sons Bambi after the movie?
Interesting. Well, you know what? There's really nothing masculine about Bambi.
Okay.
Just the character.
But there's also nothing female about him either.
Well, kind of. You look at the big eyes and the cute little mouth, and it just
Right,
doesn't
maybe.
seem like a dude.
Well, anyway, honestly, I got to tell you, there's tons of stuff here, all the deleted scene stuff and the inside Walt's story meetings stuff, and all of the evolution of the artwork. It's fantastic. You gain so much appreciation for this movie, but it looks great on Blu-ray. It's incredible. It's Disney just goes to town on all of their animated classics, and they really deliver great Blu-rays, especially in audio. The lossless audio. You get a terrific mix on every single one of these Disneys.
Sure do, and you got to watch out because again, these are only available for a short time, and if you don't pick it up before they pull it from the shelves, you'll wind up on eBay
Back in the vault.
paying twice as much.
Back in the vault.
Oh, I hate Eddie Griffin. Why'd you hand me this? Eddie Griffin is a stand-up comic.
Because I hate him more than you do.
Yeah, he's got
That's
a DVD called "You Can Tell Him I Said It," and it's all about Eddie Griffin. Yeah, woo, yeah, Viagra. Yeah, he's gonna do Viagra jokes. Wait a second, Wade. You realize that in this one, he does a bunch of stuff about racial stereotypes.
No kidding.
Wow. And did I mention Viagra? Yeah, he's good. Oh, he's the worst. Live from Oakland, California, this was taped. Eddie Griffin, You Can Tell Him I Said It. A terrible DVD from a terrible comic.
Oh, that's
True.
horrible.
Oh, that's true. Glenn Gould,
One of the great piano players of all time.
one of the great piano players of all time. He died like 30 years ago. He was mostly famous for something that I don't quite understand, which is his amazing interpretation of the Goldberg Variations, which is this multi-part piano opus that he became synonymous with.
Yeah.
And this is actually what is that? Oh, is this the same thing?
Yeah,
One's on DVD, one's on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
We have the DVD and the Blu-ray for Genius Within the Inner Life of Glenn Gould. This is directed by Michelle Hoser and Peter Raymond. And this is good stuff. Glenn Gould was an interesting guy. He was basically a little bit...
Eccentric.
He was a little bit eccentric, which a lot of geniuses are. And you've got a lot of great concert footage. And there's, he reads diary entries, his photos, and...
It's pretty intense.
Home recordings. It's good stuff. You know what? And Gould was a smart guy, and you got a lot of his thoughts on music and art and whatnot. And Genius Within, The Inner Life of Glenn Gould, is a very interesting look at a very interesting guy. I would almost say, like, not idiot savantish, but...
yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close to idiot savant, you think?
I love 32 short films about Glenn Gould, and other than that, I'm a classical film nut and a classical music nut, and I had known very little about Glenn Gould until I saw 32 short films, which of course is a fictional or a dramatic interpretation. But then I had to talk about this on the radio last year, and it was like, wow, that's a lot more about. I mean, much richer and deeper look at him than you might have ever imagined possible. Really a fascinating guy, every bit as fascinating as the 32 short film suggests that he probably was. And these are really good. The Blu-ray is very, very, very sharp, very crisp, almost too crisp in some ways. You see on some of the source material, it really kind of exaggerates and magnifies the flaws in it, but still really good. This thing here, I don't know why this is Volume 1. This is Music Videos and Performances from the Twilight Saga Soundtracks, Volume 1, which terrifies me because do we need more than one volume? Really?
Hell yeah.
Do we really? I don't know. This is just a shameless attempt at capitalizing on the Twilight popularity before everyone becomes hopelessly embarrassed to admit that they ever liked or went to any of these films. You get things on here like CeeLo Green, What Part of Forever, not what I want to remember CeeLo Green for. The Black Ghosts, Full Moon, Hurricane Bells, Monsters, and whatever. I don't like these films, and this doesn't do anything for me at all. Mark, you fan of Jeff Beck?
Oh, of course. Jeff Beck is one of the great guitar heroes of the 70s and 80s.
You a fan of Les Paul?
Les Paul, who recently passed away, is basically the inventor of the electric guitar.
Wow.
And this is a little bit cheesy. It's called Jeff Beck's Rock and Roll Party honoring Les Paul. The thing is that it's like rock and roll party, woo! But you know what? There's so much great music on here. So much great music. This is filmed at the Iridium Jazz Club in New York.
You ever been there?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I have not. And there's such great stuff here. Gary U.S. Bonds, Brian Setzer from Stray Cats, Trombone Shorty. Man, is there a lot of great songs on this thing. Cruisin', Train Kept A-Rollin', Cry Me a River, How High the Moon, Sitting on Top of the World. These are some great old rock and roll kind of classics. And
I don't totally forgotten about Gary U.S. Bonds. It's like, wow, where have a lot of these people gone?
He became Gary.
Their financial meltdown joke on that? Yeah, don't even try. No, it's not happening.
Anyway, it's on DVD and Blu-ray. No reason to get the Blu-ray, although the audio is a little bit cleaner. But still, it's a lot of great songs there. Really, it's something where you get that if you love Jeff Beck, you love Les Paul, you're a real rock and roll historian, because it doesn't have a lot of like modern-day hits.
True.
But it's great stuff.
I'm going to recommend that people forego the DVD and get the Blu-ray of Les Miserables,
Never seen it.
The music event of a lifetime.
Never seen it.
25th anniversary. Featuring Nick Jonas of the Jonas Brothers. Wow. No, I'll tell you, definitely get this on Blu-ray. Les Miserables, the stage production, especially this 25th anniversary staging, is just so spectacular. And concerts like this, when they're shot in HD and then you watch them on Blu-ray, you really, really appreciate them so much more. You just get a sense of the scale of it and the meticulousness of it. You know, here's the thing that I couldn't help but think about while watching this, because Les Miserables is really one of the great musicals of a stage production musicals of the past 20 or 30 years.
Never seen
it. It's tremendous. It really is. But it takes them they used to be able to get these stage musicals onto film in just a matter of years, 5, 6, 7 years. You transition Oklahoma and My Fair Lady and, all of these great musicals eventually became films within a generation. Phantom of the Opera was in development forever. This thing, they tried to get made as a feature film, never got it off the ground. It's like, I don't understand if it's such a great musical and such a great Broadway production, what takes so long?
Well, you know what? You don't want to undercut the Broadway ticket sales. You don't want to undercut all the roadshow versions.
Yeah, whatever. Well, a lot of great people involved in this. Obviously, Nick Jonas is the big name that a lot of people make mention of. Lea Salonga also here, who was in Miss Saigon, was her big breakthrough. And then she, of course, did the vocals for the songs in Aladdin and is lovely. I had the privilege of interviewing her at the time, and she is just a doll. She's delicious, Mark. She's delicious.
Aww.
But you also get Alfie Boe, Norm Lewis, Matt Lucas, Katie Hall, Samantha Barks, Jenny Galloway. Jenny Galloway, another huge voice in the musical theater scene. This is really lovely. And even if you've never seen any version of it, I would say this is not a bad way to start.
Wait, I have one thing to say to you.
What is that?
I probably took more drugs than anybody could survive. I was banging 7-gram rocks because that's how I roll. I have one speed. I have one gear. Go. The run I made was, he's talked about his last drug binge, it was radical. The run I was on made Sinatra, Flynn, Jagger, Richards look like droopy-eyed, armless children.
Oh, that's nothing to brag about, Charlie. It's so sad. This whole meltdown of his makes me so sad because that's not who he is. It's
just so aggressive, and everything he says is more embarrassing than the last thing he said.
There's something that oftentimes happens with addicts, or so I've been told, which is that sometimes they'll reach a point where they realize that they not only can't beat their addiction, but they don't want to, so they just decide to just go full blow and own it. And that seems to be what he's doing now. He's just going to own the addiction, and he's just going to, that's who he is. And it's sad because it's not the guy I knew,
Depressing.
Anyway.
Depressing.
A few interesting things from Gaiam. Gaiam is commonly known for their exercise DVDs, but they also have they do a lot of output deals with Discovery Channel and TLC and Screen Media, a lot of other companies, and some of these are actually pretty good. This is from the Discovery Channel via Gaiam, Speed of Life. I'm hot and cold on a lot of these nature documentary things for television because some of them really cut corners, and unless it's the BBC stuff, the Planet Earth stuff, it tends to kind of feel very undercooked. But there's some very slick stuff here, and Speed of Life uses some very interesting photography to kind of give you a sense of all these different natural terrains around the world and the ecosystems within. And I think it's pretty slick. You got 3 episodes here: Predators of the Southwest, Central America, and East Africa. Give that a little look. TLC has a show called Sister Wives, which is sort of like Big Love, except a reality show. And it's just a little bit creepy. I think these people actually, in their whole kind of polygamous lifestyle, they really crank it up for the sake of the cameras, for the sake of just creating a little bit of a sensationalistic show. It feels a little, I don't want to say phony, but it feels a little bit forced. Nonetheless, some people love reality shows. They love all that junk. So, it's available for you, but I'm not going to recommend it. Anthony Bourdain, you like this guy, don't you? Aren't you a big fan of him?
I'm not a fan of him, but I know that he had done a show on Iceland.
Yeah.
And when I watched it in preparation for visiting Iceland.
Well, this is Travel Channel, again distributed by Gaiam. Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations, Collection 5, Part 2. It's just great travel stuff. And it basically food and travel is the subject of it. And traveling around the world, finding good food. And the focus here is Australia, Buffalo, Baltimore, and Detroit, which who knew there was good food there. San Francisco, Thailand, Montana, outer boroughs of New York City, Vietnam, Brittany. The guy gets around. What a great job, isn't it? Gosh, what a great job.
You know what the best job in the world is?
What?
Being a Vatican assassin warlock.
What the hell are you reading?
That's what Charlie Sheen is.
A Vatican assassin warlock?
That's what he said.
Oh, my gosh.
Kant is the cancer of happen.
Oh, jeez. These quotes will never go away.
It really won't.
Slightly different along the food and travel alignment is Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern, Collection 4, Part 2. If you like the Bourdain stuff, you'll probably like this as well. It's a slightly different take, but he goes to Seoul, Puerto Rico, Thailand as well, Mongolia, Arizona, Tokyo, Bangkok, Baja, Buenos Aires. And he's a little bit friendlier, a little bit easier on the funny bone. Because he looks for funny stuff, weird stuff, odd food. He's not just out for a good time, he's out for an odd time. And then also lastly from the Travel Channel is Samantha Brown's Asia. Now this is not all about food, this is just straight up traveling. Samantha Brown is really very sweet, wonderful host. And she just makes it all feel so like you're never going to get hit by a tsunami, even though all the places she goes to are right in the line of fire. So you're not going to fool me there, Samantha Brown, but she is really adorable. And she does a great job of taking you on a tour of some very cool places. Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand are the highlight of this. Hong Kong, I love it a lot, but you can't really encapsulate it as quickly as she does. Malaysia and Bali, pretty good. And with that, I think we're just about done. Check us out on stupidformovies.com this Thursday at 8 p.m., Tell your friends, watch it. We're going to do a little post-mortem on the Oscars, and then we're going to talk about the movies we've seen this week, including Rango and The Adjustment Bureau, which is it's going to be an interesting discussion, I think.
It will be. Also, what's interesting is the fact that I have tiger blood and Adonis DNA in me.
Oh, my gosh. That quote is just unbelievable. I heard them. People have been quoting that one all day long. All day long. That is tiger blood and Adonis DNA. That is just... Wow. Jeez, Charlie, come on, please. Get back on the wagon. Get this... Fix yourself. That show's over now, isn't it? That's done.
Oh,
Two and a Half Men.
There's no way that he and Chuck Lorre are going to be able to shake hands and work together. Not going to happen.
It's over. It's done. That $1.8 million a week paycheck is going bye-bye.
You can recast it.
Well, they probably will. They'll do a spin-off. They'll take them on the road, put them in a new place. It'll be like Gloria. Remember Gloria spinning off?